Umbrella Corporation was founded in 1968, promising miracle cures and a safer world. But behind the sleek facade, their real legacy was something far darker. Bioorganic weapons, living monsters engineered to be sold as military assets. The official story blames rogue science for the outbreaks that plagued Raccoon City and beyond. But the truth is more terrifying. Every Resident Evil B.O.W. started as a deliberate experiment, from the first zombies born in underground labs to crimson-headed predators, each designed to improve on the last. 10% of the infected mutate into something even deadlier, and some creations can follow 10 complex commands, far more than simple mindless flesh. If you think you know every monster, think again. The story of every single Resident Evil B.O.W. is more twisted and deliberate than you've ever imagined. So how did a corporate lie become our ultimate nightmare? Umbrella Corporation's boardroom was a place of polished marble and empty promises. On paper, Umbrella was a pharmaceutical giant, founded in 1968 by Oswell E. Spencer, Edward Ashford, and James Marcus. Their public mission: cure disease, improve life, and build a better tomorrow. But while the labs churned out cold medicine and cosmetics, the company's true ambition was buried far deeper. In the jungles of West Africa, Umbrella's researchers unearthed the progenitor virus, the so-called Stairway of the Sun, a retrovirus with the power to rewrite the very code of life. This discovery was never meant for the public. Instead, it became the foundation for a classified project, the creation of bioorganic weapons, or B.O.W.s. These weren't just mutated animals or accidental monsters. The goal was to weaponize biology itself, building living assets for military clients. By 1978, the term T-virus appeared in internal memos, signaling a shift from research to weaponization. The T-virus, derived from progenitor, could infect nearly any living thing, turning ordinary creatures into controllable horrors. For Umbrella's executives, the real miracle wasn't curing illness, it was selling the next stage of evolution to the highest bidder. Profits soared, but so did the risks. Each experiment promised a new breakthrough, and every failure hinted at something waiting to escape the lab. Cell necrosis was never part of the plan. The T-virus, designed to create obedient weapons, brought the dead back, but left them slow, mindless, and insatiable. These first zombies, shuffling through the corridors of the Arklay mansion, became Umbrella's accidental foot soldiers. Their hunger for flesh was relentless, but their bodies were fragile, rotting from the inside out. Yet something strange happened in the dark. When a zombie collapsed and lay dormant, the virus sometimes triggered a second mutation. This process, known to researchers as V-Act, reanimated the corpse with a surge of metabolic energy. The result? The Crimson Head. Only a small fraction of zombies, estimates vary but it's rare, would undergo this change. Those that did became faster, more aggressive, and frighteningly resilient. Claws extended, skin turned slick and red, and their movements shifted from a slow shuffle to a predatory sprint. The transformation wasn't a design feature but a viral adaptation, one that forced Umbrella's scientists to reconsider what their virus was truly capable of unleashing. Predator design at Umbrella reached a crossroads with two creations that couldn't be more different in form or function: the Licker and the Hunter. Both were engineered for pursuit and elimination, but their paths split at the drawing board. Lickers, the accidental apex of T-virus mutation, hunt by sound alone. Their brains, swollen and exposed, process vibrations and even the faintest footfall, making them lethal in darkness or silence. But that same exposed tissue is their undoing. One well-placed shot can end the hunt. Hunters, on the other hand, were built from the ground up. By splicing human embryos with reptilian DNA, researchers produced a creature that could interpret about 10 distinct commands, enough for patrols, ambushes, or coordinated attacks. Their green scales rival Kevlar, and their claws can sever limbs in a single swipe. While Lickers rely on instinct and raw predation, Hunters bring a cold, calculated obedience to the battlefield. In the labs, the debate raged: unleash the unpredictable or sell the reliable. With both creatures reaching market-ready status by the late 1980s, Umbrella's arms race had officially begun. The Tyrant program began with a single obsessive goal: to build the ultimate biological soldier. Early prototypes like the T-002 were the result of years of failed experiments and genetic dead ends. Only one person in 10 million could survive the process, and even then, most candidates ended up as mindless brutes or collapsed before full transformation. But Umbrella's researchers pressed on, convinced the perfect host was out there. By the late 1990s, the T-103 series, best known as Mr. X, rolled off the production line. These models wore heavy limiter coats to prevent premature mutation, blending into crowds until given the order to release their full power. The T-103s could follow simple directives, hunt specific targets, and adapt to resistance, traits that made them ideal for urban deployment. Yet, intelligence was still a limiting factor. Umbrella's answer was the Nemesis T-type, a T-103 enhanced with the Ne-alpha parasite. The parasite rewired the host's brain, granting Nemesis the ability to strategize, use weapons, and single out S-Ter's members with chilling precision. Each evolutionary leap brought new strengths, but also new risks. For every Nemesis, there were countless failures. Test subjects who lost control, mutated beyond recognition, or simply broke under the strain. The relentless drive for a perfect soldier meant that success was measured in fractions, and every breakthrough carried a hidden cost. Umbrella's labs didn't just churn out apex predators and super soldiers. Some experiments veered into the bizarre, chasing novelty or corporate whimsy as much as battlefield superiority. Plant 42, for example, began as a routine botanical test, until a viral leak in the Arklay Mansion's guardhouse turned it into a bloodthirsty monstrosity. Its vines broke through walls and ceilings, using hooked bulbs to drain the life from anyone unlucky enough to wander close. The plant's intelligence was unsettling. It blocked escape routes and even seemed to rest between attacks, as if calculating its next move. In the aqua ring below, the Neptune project took a different approach. By infecting great white sharks with the T-virus, researchers hoped for aquatic terror. The result? Oversized sharks with a mean streak, but little else. The Neptunes were written off as a commercial failure. Too expensive, too hard to control, and not much deadlier than nature's own design. Then there were the Drain Dimos, mutated fleas bred to thrive in urban chaos. These insect bioorganic weapons infested city streets, crawling through pipes and ambushing survivors from the shadows. Each oddity reflected a different side of Umbrella's ambitions, sometimes deadly, sometimes useless, and always unpredictable. William Birkin was not content to perfect the old formula. In the late 1990s, while Umbrella's board fixated on mass-producing tyrants, Birkin worked in the shadows on something far more ambitious: the G-virus. Unlike the T-virus, which forced evolution down a single, brutal path, the G-virus rewrote the rules entirely. It didn't just mutate its host, it kept mutating again and again, each change more extreme than the last. When Umbrella's own security forces cornered Birkin in his underground lab in 1998, he made his final, desperate decision. He injected himself with the G-virus, triggering a transformation that left nothing of the man behind. Birkin's body twisted through endless cycles of mutation, sprouting new limbs, new organs, and a grotesque, ever-watchful eye. But the G-virus had a purpose beyond survival. It drove its host to seek out close relatives, implanting embryos in a relentless attempt to create more of its kind. For the first time, Umbrella's creation wasn't just a weapon, it was a new species, evolving on its own terms, beyond anyone's control. In that moment, the line between experiment and extinction blurred, and the world outside Umbrella's walls would never be the same. Las Plagas changed the rules of bioweapon design. Instead of a virus, this was a parasite, an ancient organism discovered deep beneath a rural Spanish village and revived by the Los Iluminados cult. Infection doesn't rot the mind, it sharpens it. Hosts called ganados keep their intelligence, speak, wield tools, even set traps. But every ganado answers to a dominant plaga, creating a hive structure with absolute control at the top. The cult's leaders, like Osmond Sadler, use this to command entire armies with a single thought. Unlike the chaos of a zombie outbreak, Plagas infection brings precision, coordinated ambushes, tactical retreats, and the ability to adapt on the fly. Dominant hosts can even trigger monstrous transformations, sprouting limbs or armor at will. For the first time, a bioorganic weapon could blend into a crowd, pick up a chainsaw, and outthink its prey. In the world of bioweapons, intelligence became the new threat. The modern era of bioweapons left behind the old playbook. The C-virus, engineered by Carla Radames, created a new class of human bioorganic weapon, the JAVO, JA-VOH. Unlike their predecessors, JAVO retained intelligence, could follow orders, and even used firearms, but their real threat lay in what happened after injury. When wounded, a JAVO's body could sprout new limbs or transform entire sections into grotesque weapons, all triggered by the virus's chrysalid process. These chrysalids cocooned the host, dissolving flesh and bone before rebuilding them into something far stranger. A process that could take minutes or even seconds on the battlefield. Meanwhile, the connections turned to something older than any virus: mold. Evelyn, designated E001, was designed to control minds, not just bodies. Her mold spread through touch, food, or even the air, infiltrating the nervous system and creating a hive mind under her command. The molded, her foot soldiers were nothing but discarded hosts, shapeless, resilient, and nearly impossible to kill. With B.O.W and molded, the line between weapon and wielder blurred. Intelligence, regeneration, and psychological control became the new tools of bioterror, and the world's arsenal grew far stranger than anyone in Umbrella's boardroom could have imagined. By 1998, Umbrella's T-Virus had produced at least 4 major B.O.W types, but official files confirm only about 10% of infected became Crimson Heads, and just 1 in 10 million subjects survived as a tyrant. The escalation from accidental zombies to engineered predators like lickers and hunters is thoroughly documented in company memos and field reports. Yet, the origins of some B.O.Ws, such as Plant 42 and the full capability of the G-Virus, remain partly classified or lost. Modern records show that Las Plagas, the C-Virus, and E-type mold have since surpassed viral weapons in both intelligence and control, creating threats that can organize, mutate, and even manipulate minds. Despite countless investigations, no complete archive of Umbrella's experiments has surfaced, and many B.O.W deployment records remain sealed. The evidence shows a clear progression. As bioweapon science advanced, so did its danger, leaving a legacy of innovation and catastrophe. What began as corporate ambition reshaped the rules of biological warfare, and ensured that the full story behind every B.O.W is still unfinished.